Hey everyone, welcome to Prep with Sid, where we break down technical interview questions step by step and focus on the thinking behind the solution. Today, let's solve a real SQL interview question. The question is, find all viewers who were active for 3 consecutive days or more. But today, I'm going to solve this bit differently. Instead of jumping straight into SQL, we'll start with the raw data and work through the problem manually, just like you might think through it during an interview. Once we understand the steps needed to solve the problem, we'll translate those exact steps into SQL. So let's start by looking at the data. Here, you can see we have a raw data in which we have activity ID, viewer ID, watch time. Activity ID is just a unique identifier for each row. Think of it like an events table in the database. Viewer ID is your viewer or a user, and watch time is when the user watched something. Now, for the question is asking, we want to find all viewers who were active for 3 consecutive days or more. That means if during a day they watch multiple times, we don't care about that. We just want to know, like, have they at least watched once a day, right? So if there are records here where we have the watch activity multiple times a day, we're just going to ignore that. So let's start working through the problem. And we are going to solve this in Excel. We are not writing any SQL. We're just going to look it through the Excel. We'll sort things here. We'll maybe delete some things manually. Okay, so let's start by ordering the data because right now it's just all random. The users are not in order. The times are not in order. So let's do that first. So I'm going to order by viewer ID and watch time. Let's do that. Go data, sort range. Okay, so we are sorting by viewer ID first and then by watch time. Okay, so you can see now we can see the activity for user 101, 102, 103 in an order, and it's ordered by time. To make it simpler, I'm going to color the data set for each user separately, so it's easier to work through the problem and talk through it. So user 101, we can keep this color, 102, 103, 104, and lastly 105. Okay, so now you can see the activity for each user clearly. Now let's quickly inspect the data. I want to basically delete if there's any multiple watch times for the same day. So I'm going to come here. It doesn't matter which date we are deleting, which row we are deleting. Now the second step, we don't care about the timestamp. We only care about the date, right? So let's convert it to a timestamp, to a date. All right, the date format is different, but that's fine. So we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one streak, right? Just visually, you can see 3 consecutive days. Then there's a break. Then we have 10, 11, 12, another streak for. So it looks like 101 user has 2 streaks. 102 does not have any streak because there's a gap here and 3 and 4. So it's only 2 more days, right? We want the three or more. Okay, so we have done the first step where we converted it to date. We did the distinct by deleting that row, and we sorted it. So now we can see the data clearly. Okay, let's start working with the solution. And the first instinct that comes to mind is some kind of date difference between the first row or between the row and the following row, right? So let's do that. The difference between this row between the date 102 and 101 is 1. Okay. 103 and 102, the previous row is 1. Here we have between 5th January and 3rd, so that is 2. Okay. Then this between 10 and 5 is 5 days. Between 11 and 10 is 1. 12 and 11. Okay, so if we look at it, the diff is not really working. I mean, it gave the first streak fine, but then here it didn't help with 10, 11, 12. Like I would expect this to be one streak, because we have consecutive days 10th, 11th, 12th, but the date diff is not working. So now I'm going to get into the real correct solution. And if you have seen my previous videos, I have shown this pattern. And this pattern is exactly what gaps and islands pattern is, right? We have islands, and then there's a gap between those islands, right? So that's why that's called gaps and islands. Like here, you can think of this as one island, there's a gap, another island, right? Okay, and if you remember, for that, one approach to solve that problem is something to do with the row number. Okay, so let's start. Let's just work with the row number. So for row number, we are just assigning a row number for based on each partition by each viewer ID. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we did the row number. Again, from the pattern, if you remember, there is a trick what you're supposed to do once you get the row number. Now we will try to do a date diff. Date diff using this date, watch date, and this row number. Okay, let's do that. Here I'm going to say we want D2 minus, so we are subtracting the row number from the watch date. Let's see what happens. Okay, we want to apply to the whole column. Interesting. Let's see. Now you can see what's happening here. It's actually giving you a group. So now you know, right? This is actually you're almost 80% there. You know the groups where the number of consecutive days are 3 or more. Okay, you can easily find that by looking this visually. You can tell this is one group, this is second group, this is no group here, this is another only 2 rows, so no grouping here. This group is, oh, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. This viewer has 4 days. Here you have one group. Here for this user, because it's only 2 rows, yeah, this does not count, right? Again, I'm repeating group by group. That means now we need to do a group, right? Okay. So obviously in, I don't know, maybe in Google Sheet you can do group or not, but so I'm going to do this manually, okay? Okay, now you can see the groups, right? So this is one group. Let's color it. Okay, this is one group. This is another group, right? We have one group. This is another group. This is not a group because there's only 2 rows. Here we have another group. In this group you have 3 rows. In this group you have 3 rows. In this group you have 4 rows. In this group you have another 3 rows. That's it. So if I group by viewer ID and date def and do like having count star greater than equal to 3, this is what I'll get, right? I'll get this row, I will get this group, I will get this group, and this group. Sorry, this group. And that's the solution. That's what we need to do. That's just once we understand this, writing SQL is much simpler. So now let's jump over to SQL solution, okay? So here in Snowflake, let's first create the table, okay? We are going to insert the rows. Okay, the rows inserted. Now I'm going to put the SQL here and then I'll walk through it. So let's walk through the SQL. So in the step 1, if you remember in Excel or in Google Sheet, what I was doing, I was basically saying that multiple records per day does not make a difference, and we don't care about the timestamp. So this is exactly what we're doing. We are doing distinct on viewer ID, casting the distinct on viewer ID and the date, and we are converting the time, watch time, into activity date. Okay, so now we have our raw data. The second step, we are doing a row number partition by viewer ID, right? If we go back to Excel sheet, this is right. Now I'm doing this step where I'm assigning the row number. Okay. Now you know what needs to happen next. We need to do the difference between the date, activity date, and the row number. Okay. That's exactly what we are doing, and we are calling the CT, it's called group dates. Here we are doing a difference between the activity date and row number. Now, once we do that, we need to group it, right? Take a look. We are grouping by viewer ID and streak group, and we are just counting the number of days, right? If you go back here, this is exactly what's happening. Now we are counting this, okay? It's returning 3, it's returning 3, here it will return 4, it will return 4. These are also, I'm just ignoring these, but yes, these are also get counted, right? You have one group and one row, but we're going to have a filter later on. We are only interested in 3 or more streaks, right? So that's why I'm ignoring these for now, okay? And lastly, we just need to add a filter for consecutive days greater than or equal to 3, because that's what the question is asking. Let's take a look. Okay, so you can see user 101 had 2 streaks. Let's go back to Excel sheet, right? This was the first streak and this was the second streak, right? 102 had no streak. Remember, this is user 102. Here had no streak. 103 had 1 streak, and you can see there were 4 records here. Okay, and same thing with 104. We have 3, nothing for 105. And that's our solution. We started with the raw data, worked through the problem manually, and figured out how to identify each consecutive streak. Then we translated those same steps into SQL. Now, the important takeaway here is not to memorize this query, it's to recognize the pattern. Whenever an interview question asks you to find consecutive days, consecutive months, winning streak, login streaks, or continuous activity, think gaps and islands. The business problem may look completely different, but the underlying SQL pattern can be exactly the same. Thanks for watching Prep with Sid. I'll see you in the next interview question. Have a great day.